Hello, everyone. I'm Wright, and today is Friday, March 10th. Welcome to the California Real Estate Show. We have more rain today, and for those of you who do not live in Southern California, we haven't experienced this much rain and cold weather for over 34 years. We even had snowfall on our local beaches this year. Hey, are you curious as to today's current housing dynamics and market conditions? If so, then welcome to the show as I discuss United States, Southern California, and Orange County real estate markets today. Let's get started, shall we? Here in the United States, the median home price is $424,999, and the median price of new listings this year, as you can see, it's $389,900. Now, that median price of new listings 1 year ago this week was $399 or $9,100 higher than it is this time last year. So we're looking at a 2.28% reduction in the median asking price so far this year. Let's take a look at the Q4 median sales price. This was last year. It was $467,700. And we're experiencing a very tight supply of homes today. As you can see, our U.S. housing inventory as of January of this year was 980,000 units for sale, which is down from 1.3 million homes in July 2022, or 24.62% reduction in less than 8 months. Now, we are seeing more supply constraint as inventory fell by 2.5% in the last week. Our cyclical spring market average tells us that the inventory should rise in April, but nothing substantial, and demand will more than offset this increase in supply. So some predict that the only real factors that could increase supply and reduce prices would be a recession, job losses, maybe more increased interest rates, or investors who might panic and sell. As we look at this next slide here, we'll view the new inventory. You can see that there are 7% fewer listings in the United States today than this time last year. And our supply of homes is so low today that the U.S. demand or pendings are 1.3% higher today than this time last year. So you can imagine the change from that market we just left, where homes were just flying off the shelf. This next slide shows that the U.S. home sales as a whole are down 36.91% year over year. Let's go to Southern California now that we've already reviewed California as a whole. We can see that Southern California is experiencing a new listing housing crisis. Most sellers remain hunkering down in this higher interest rate and slowing economy environment. This next slide, it shows that the average market time in Southern California is 53 days, and there are only 146 distressed properties for sale in all of California. So the people that are looking for a deal or waiting for these low price homes to come on the market, it's certainly not time at this point. There's just very little inventory. As we look at this next slide, we can see that the Southern California market time varies from a low of 39 days in San Diego County to a high of 66 days in San Bernardino County. Now let's go to Orange County. We can see that the active listing inventory has decreased 4% in the last 2 weeks, and it's currently at only 2,218 properties for sale in all of Orange County. As we can see here, it shows the market times. Los Angeles is averaging about 59 days, Orange County at 45 days today. Now, as we look at the demand or pending, we're seeing the sales are down 2% over the past 2 weeks. now totals only 1,505 sales. Last year's pending sales were 46% more than today. That's that hunkering down effect that I was alluding to earlier. Distressed homes, they're only 0.5% and only 0.1% of demand. So there's really only 4 foreclosures and 6 short sales available to purchase in all of Orange County today. When we look at closings, there were 1,137 closed residential resale homes in January, and this represents 37% less closings than this time last year. List to sales price ratio, that tells us, what you can expect to negotiate off the sales price. On average, it is at 98.6%, or you can expect about 1.4% off the list price. As we look at the affordability index, we're starting to see a ray of hope here. I thought I had that slide. I'm sorry, you guys. I'll send that out next time. But I just want to share with you the affordability index. I see a ray of good news there, in the sense that it measures the degree at which a typical family can afford the monthly payments on a home. A value of 100 means that a family with a medium income has exactly enough income to qualify for a mortgage on a median price home. And an index above 100 signifies that family earning, the median income has more than enough income to qualify for a mortgage loan on a median price home. And this assumes a 20% down payment. So, this index is calculated for fixed rate mortgages, and it's perhaps one of the largest reasons why Orange County home values have not dropped as much as other states. We're at 101 right now for our affordability index. The interest rates today, the lowest rates that I could find this week, were posted by Dean Rathman of United American Mortgage. He reported a 30-year fixed rate at 6.375 interest, and at 1 point. Remember, 1 point is equivalent to 1% of the loan amount that you're borrowing. If we look at current events today, we know that the job reports came out, and the U.S. added 311,000 jobs in February, as a sign that the labor market remains solid. And as the Fed continues to take measures to tame inflation, we've been witnessing this Dow Jones index, this blue chip stocks. It dropped 4.44% this week. And some of you heard that the Silicon Valley Bank was shut down today by regulators. So we look at many of these economists today, they believe that the terminal federal funds rate is targeted at about 5.5%. This tells us when things should turn around, the economy should soften, and then they can put the brakes on the rising of the interest rates, if you will. Today's federal funds rate hovers around 4.75%. So they believe this terminal rate is the rate that the Fed's going to tame inflation. Once that number is reached, we should see inflation head the other direction, and the Fed will start pivoting toward lower rates. That would mean that we have another 75 basis points that rates can go up. And of course, this balancing act is much more difficult than it sounds. Many of you know that federal funds rate is the interest rate at which banks and other depository institutions will lend money to each other. And usually on an overnight basis, the law requires these banks to keep a certain percentage of their customers' money on these reserves. So the banks can't earn any interest on that money. Predictions, we're seeing tons of predictions out there over the internet and elsewhere. I'm sure you've seen them all. This latest one was that I saw from Morgan Stanley. They're predicting that the U.S. home prices will fall 7% in 2023. Well, I can tell you that after 34 years in this industry and going into my 4th recession, my crystal ball ran out a long time ago. For whatever it's worth, me and my wife, we're still buying investment properties today. As we seek cash flow income from real estate rents, we buy and we hold for a long term. So if you're planning on living in the property long term, or you're looking to invest in real estate long term, then may I suggest, instead of trying to time the market, just buy according to your family needs and according to your retirement goals. I'd like to throw a tip out there for the week when writing an offer for a home. I would suggest, before writing the offers, that you have your realtor run comparable sales over the last 90 days, as well as those properties that have not sold during their listing period. And that's typically a 6-month period. Find the seller's motivation. Ask your agent to ask that other agent, the seller's agent, what is the seller's motivation? And if that market softens any further, maybe ask that seller's agent to allow you to present your offer to the seller in person. For many, many years, we presented offers in person. That kind of went a wayside as technology started coming into our industry. But if the seller's agent has difficulty in telling the sellers the hard truth as to what's going on in the real estate market, or they have fears of offending the seller, this is a good opportunity for your agent to sit down with that seller. And if that seller's agent is cooperative, maybe offer to run a net sheet for the seller. All you'd need is the total commissions paid and the amount that's owed on the seller's property, if it's, if there is debt on it, and then present that and focus on the seller's needs and on the seller's motivation. When I think of value, I think of emotional value versus logical value. You want to always think resale. It's resale value. What is this house going to sell for? How's it going to sell depending on whatever the market conditions are? And remember, location is vital. We can always upgrade flooring, put in, repaint the house, stuff like that. But location is so important. So despite the low inventory, I suggest that you remain patient until the right home in the right location comes available. Lastly, if you don't have an agent, I'd like to apply for the job. My negotiation skills over the last 34 years will guarantee you a much better price than the average agent. The sources today that I gathered for this presentation was from FRED, which is the economic data, the National Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, Altos Research, and Jim Rickards. If anybody knows Jim Rickards, he's a lawyer, economist, and investment banker. So I want to thank everybody for watching today, and hope you have a great weekend. For all you Southern California residents, stay dry. It's still wet out there. Okay, bye for now. Thanks, everyone.